sketchy. Stay sharp. Watch your six.
Doogie, baby! Got you again!
Good to see you, bro. You too. Bro, you want to be a ranger, go be a ranger. You don't need my permission. You're in, I'm in.
You promise?
Gonna be Rangers, baby!
We have visual on LZ. Chalk one down, Ghost one up, shifting to cover. Last six moving.
We got exactly 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds to get across that finish line.
Let's cross that finish line and let's get these scrolls together, all right?
Target's that direction. 20 clicks west.
All right, listen up, y'all. 20-minute break, no more.
We're moving out.
Cadre really went all in with the special effects. Sure looks classified.
Comms are down. We can't get a signal.
So what should we do? Keep your eyes open.
Fire in the hole! Get that winch 60! Move! It's in a second trip! Holy shit! Come on!
The movie kicks off in Kandahar, Afghanistan, where a U.S. Army convoy is running a combat engineering patrol, moving out of the green zone. Everything's going smoothly until one of the vehicles suddenly breaks down, forcing them to stop. Not long after, a combat engineer named Alan shows up to fix it. Once he's done, he chats with the convoy leader, Jai. Turns out they're brothers. Jai brings up the Army Ranger Selection Program, a dream they've both had since they were kids. At first, Alan brushes it off, saying he's not exactly young anymore, but Jai doesn't let it go. He still believes they can earn that Ranger tab together. Seeing how fired up his little brother is, Alan finally gives in. They agree to sign up for the upcoming selection. Just as the convoy gets ready to move again, everything goes sideways. Out of nowhere, Taliban forces hit them with a sudden mortar attack. The blast wipes out a lot of soldiers. In the chaos, Alan somehow pulls himself up despite being badly injured. He fights through the pain to evacuate Jai, who's in critical condition. 2 years later, Alan jolts awake from that nightmare, this time on a bus. He's on his way to the U.S. Army Ranger Selection Site. When he arrives, he and the other candidates are each assigned a number. From that point on, no names, just numbers. Alan becomes number 81. It's revealed he's tried out for Ranger selection multiple times before, but always failed due to mental health issues. Now, at his current age, this might be his last shot. Soon after, Sergeant Torres briefs the candidates. He explains that Rangers are elite troops, the first ones sent into combat, and sometimes the outcome of their missions can shape the fate of an entire nation. He makes it clear this selection process will push them to their absolute limits, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Training begins. Day by day, candidates start dropping out, unable to keep up. As time goes on, the tests only get tougher. Among them, number 81 starts to stand out. Physically, he's the strongest of the group. Some of the others even start calling him Superman.
Hey, slow down, Superman.
During a shooting exercise, each candidate is asked to talk about their past missions. That's when number 81 shares his experience in a combat engineering operation. From that moment on, people start whispering about him. They talk about the mission where his unit was ambushed, and he was the only one who made it alive. Word spreads about how he carried his brother for miles, desperately trying to get help. It becomes the main topic of conversation in the mess hall. For that act, number 81 was awarded the Silver Star. But despite that, he keeps to himself, doesn't really bond with the others. Every night, he's haunted by nightmares. On top of that, he secretly takes sedatives, something that doesn't go unnoticed by candidate number 7. Days pass, and eventually, number 81 reaches the final selection test, a walking exercise in a pool. Right in the middle of it, he suddenly flashes back to the moment he tried to evacuate Jai. The memory hits hard, shaking him to his core. He loses control and fails the test. The instructors have to pull him out to keep him from drowning. After that, he's called in to meet Sergeant Torres and Sergeant Sheridan. While waiting outside, he catches a news segment from NASA about a meteor cluster that could potentially threaten Earth. Then he's called in. Inside, the two sergeants lay it all out, why number 81 might not be fit to become a Ranger. Sure, he's scored top marks in almost every category, but there are red flags. Long-term trauma, his tendency to isolate himself, and his lack of communication with the team. It's a tough call. On the one hand, he's one of their best candidates. On the other, those issues can't be ignored. Since they can't outright fail him, Torres asks him to voluntarily withdraw for his own good. But number 81 refuses. Becoming a Ranger isn't just his dream, it's something he and Jai have chased their whole lives. Now, Torres and Sheridan are stuck, unsure what to do next. The next day, Torres announces the names of candidates advancing to the final stage. Surprisingly, number 81 is still in. Not long after, Torres briefs them on their final mission. They're tasked with destroying a classified aircraft that was previously shot down. On top of that, they need to locate a village where the pilot is being held by insurgents. Here's the catch. They're only given blank ammunition, radios, and C4 explosives. Before wrapping up, Torres stresses one thing. They must operate as a team. Then he drops the bomb. Number 81 is assigned as team leader. The decision is deliberate. It's a test to see if he's truly Ranger material, leading his own unit. His team, dubbed Ghost 1, is then airlifted into a mountainous region. On the way, they spot a privately operated mine belonging to a civilian organization. They've already been warned to stay clear of it. It's outside their mission zone. Soon after, the helicopter sets them down at the closest point to the crash site, codenamed Destroyer.
Knock 1 down. Ghost 1 up. Ship.
Once they land and enter the forest, Number 81 checks the map and coordinates. He tells the team they've only got 24 hours to complete the mission. The way he says it rubs some of the team the wrong way. So Number 7 steps in, asking to speak, trying to boost morale. They continue moving until Ghost 1 gets close to the target area. When things seem safe, Number 7 suggests they take a short break. They rest for 20 minutes. While the others take a breather, Number 81 and Number 7 stay on watch. Number 7 tries to strike up a conversation, but 81 keeps his walls up. Then, out of nowhere, several ballistic missiles streak across the sky above them at insane speed. The whole team is stunned. No hesitation, they pack up and move out immediately. Eventually, they reach the target zone. There, they find an aircraft unlike anything they've ever seen. Sleek, futuristic. Honestly, it looks more like a spaceship than a plane.
Number 81 lays out a plan to destroy it without tipping off the instructors monitoring the exercise, but then things start getting weird. Their compasses suddenly stop working, and their radios pick up strange, unnatural interference. After the briefing, Ghost 1 moves in carefully, planting C4 charges around the aircraft. Just before detonation, Number 81 notices a strange glint, like light reflecting off something. He asks to check it out, leaving Number 7 on guard. As he tracks it down, he makes a shocking discovery. It's one of their own military aircraft, which shouldn't even be there. That's when it hits him. The plane they just rigged might not be the real target. But it's too late. The explosives are already armed. The blast goes off, but instead of being destroyed, the strange aircraft remains intact. Worse, the explosion actually activates it. The thing transforms into a massive robot. The moment its system powers up and its red sensors lock onto Ghost 1, it launches a deadly attack. With only blank ammo, the team has no way to fight back. They're forced to run. Total chaos. Cornered at the edge of a cliff, the robot fires a bomb, triggering a massive explosion. The blast sends the entire team flying off the edge, including Number 7, who's badly injured. The incident triggers another wave of trauma for Number 81, reminding him of the day his entire team died in Afghanistan. Under the robot's brutal assault, Ghost 1 loses several members, some in horrific ways. After giving first aid to the survivors, Number 81 decides to move alone, heading uphill to find a working communication device. But when he checks the gear of fallen teammates, every single radio is destroyed. At one point, he spots a teammate still alive, but the robot brutally kills him before he can do anything. Not long after, Number 81 regroups with the team. He tells them they need to keep moving. The robot is tracking them. They begin descending the cliff to get out of the danger zone. Once some of the team makes it down, Number 96 helps lower the injured Number 7. Number 81 gets into position below to catch him, but then his compass glitches again, a sign the robot is close. Right on cue, it shows up and immediately attacks Number 96, causing Number 7 to fall. Now the only option is to hide. The robot uses blue sensors to scan for targets, but during another sweep, it accidentally brushes against Number 7's injured leg, giving away their position. They're forced to run again. The robot's weapons are far more advanced and way more lethal. Ghost 1 is completely outmatched. After putting some distance between them and the robot, they stop to catch their breath. Panic starts to set in. The team begins questioning what that thing even is, especially after hearing those strange sounds earlier. In the middle of the chaos, Number 81 pieces something together. He realizes their coordinates might have been manipulated. the robot is likely emitting waves and magnetic fields to lure them off course. Given the situation, he suggests their best move is to head to the insurgent village and hope to get help there. At first, some of the team pushed back, but they don't have a better option. Their radios are useless and hiding forever isn't going to work. On their way to the village, they hit another obstacle, a fast-moving river with steep cliffs on both sides. To get across, number 81 decides he'll swim first, then he orders the team to rig up a suspended rope system so the rest can cross safely. With number 44, the only woman on the team, number 81 swims across the river and ties a rope to a massive tree on the other side. Using that setup, the rest of the team starts crossing one by one, including number 7, who's being carried on a stretcher. But halfway through, the stretcher gets stuck, refusing to budge. Without hesitation, number 81 climbs onto the rope to help free it. Moments later, the robot shows up again and immediately goes on the attack. With no other choice, everyone jumps into the river to avoid getting blown apart. The robot dives after them. At one point, number 81's leg gets tangled in the rope, but he manages to break free just in time. Even in that chaos, he keeps hold of number 7's stretcher, refusing to let it drift away. Eventually, what's left of Ghost 1 gets swept downstream, right over a waterfall. A few minutes later, number 81 regains consciousness. The first thing they do is check on number 7, still alive. After everything they've been through, it finally clicks. This isn't a training exercise. No way. This is real. So they push on towards the insurgent village. When they finally get there, it's a ghost town, completely wrecked, abandoned, falling apart. The radio tower is destroyed, so communication is a no-go. Seeing that, number 60 starts connecting the dots. That robot? Probably not from Earth, especially after that NASA report about asteroids crashing down. It's starting to sound a lot more suspicious. Not long after, they find one of the instructor sergeants barely alive. He doesn't make it. As soon as he dies, number 81 orders everyone to move out, no lingering in a danger zone. But number 15 pushes back. He calls 81 out for not giving the team a moment to breathe, even throws in a jab, saying 81's acting cold, hiding behind his Silver Star reputation. That hits a nerve. Number 81 snaps back, saying that medal means nothing to him because he failed to save his brother, Jai. And now, the only thing that matters is getting everyone still breathing, including number 7, out of here alive. He makes it clear they need to get back to base and warn the others before more people die. That finally gets through to the team. They realize his priority isn't pride, it's survival. Once things settle down, Ghost 1 tries to get a Barracuda vehicle up and running nearby. Problem is, it's stuck and the engine's shot. Luckily, number 15, who knows his way around military gear, manages to fix it. With everyone pitching in, they finally get the vehicle back in position. Then, out of nowhere, mortars streak across the sky again. The robot is closing in. They pile into the vehicle, grabbing whatever weapons they can, but there's one big problem: no ammo. Right as they're about to take off, number 15 makes a risky move. He jumps out to grab a box of machine gun rounds. He doesn't make it back. With no time to mourn, Ghost 1 guns it, firing at the robot, but their rounds just bounce off like nothing. The vehicle barrels forward under heavy fire until it suddenly goes off a cliff and crashes into a valley below. For a moment, they think they've escaped. Then the robot appears again, coming over the ridge, even more aggressive than before. They try everything they've got, using whatever weapons are mounted on the vehicle, but nothing works. One by one, more team members go down. Desperate, one of them fires at the hillside, triggering a landslide that crashes down onto the robot. For a second, it looks like it might have worked, but the robot fires back, flipping their vehicle over. Sometime later, number 81 wakes up, injured, disoriented, and alone. No one else made it. He looks up and sees the robot that chased them, crushed under a pile of rocks. But then, something worse. Another alien robot nearby, sending out signals like it's calling for backup.
Watching its movement, number 81 suddenly spots number 7, still alive, still strapped to the stretcher. He rushes over and drags him to safety. They hide out in a relatively secure spot. After a while, number 7 regains consciousness and drops a bombshell. He was friends with Jai. He knew about their shared dream of becoming Rangers. That's why number 81 never gave up. He's been chasing that dream for both of them while trying to outrun his own trauma. That memory sparks something. Number 81 recalls the moment he fixed Jai's convoy vehicle back in the day, and suddenly an idea forms, a way to take the robot down. Before long, the alien robot is lured to the site, drawn in by a flare fired by number 81. The moment it arrives, boom, the planted dynamite explodes, knocking it off balance. That's when number 81 charges in with a bulldozer, forcing the robot towards a rock crusher. The robot fights back, but 81 doesn't let up. He keeps pushing, forcing debris and rocks into its ventilation system. Then he bails out of the bulldozer just before it's too late. Seconds later, the robot explodes. Its airflow system completely clogged, it can't handle a pressure. But even in its final moments, it fires off a barrage of bombs. Somehow, number 81 dodges the massive explosion that ends up destroying the entire mining site, along with whatever's left of the robot. The next day, battered and exhausted, number 81 carries number 7 back to base. The place is damaged, chaotic. Soldiers are evacuating. Helicopters are flying in, hauling pieces of destroyed alien robots. And just like that, number 81 crosses the finish line of Ranger selection, literally carrying number 7 on his back. He's officially a Ranger. Sergeant Major Sheridan approaches him, apologizing for not being able to extract them sooner. Turns out, the base had just been hit by the first wave of a full-scale alien robot invasion. At the same time, NASA confirms it. Those asteroids were never asteroids. They were alien units crashing down all over Earth. Countries around the world are now forming military alliances to fight back against tens of thousands of these things. Sheridan asks the obvious question, how did number 81 take one down without heavy weapons? His answer is simple. Clog the main ventilation system, and the whole thing breaks down. Impressed, Sheridan officially recognizes him as a Ranger and tells him Jai would be proud. Sometime later, Sergeant Torres briefs a group of U.S. Rangers, including number 81. They're now part of a global defense operation formed by Allied forces to push back against the invasion. Their next mission? Drop into a city, evacuate civilians, and clear the way for heavy weapons deployment. Before deployment, number 81 steps up and shares a few words, drawing from everything he's survived. Then, it's go time. The Rangers board their helicopters, heading straight into the fight. Up in the air, for the first time in a long while, number 81 finally falls asleep. Peacefully. His trauma, slowly but surely, starting to heal. And that's where the story ends. The film opens with a group of men from a remote jungle tribe hunting a tapir using traps deep in the forest. The group includes their leader, Flinsky, his son Jaguar Paw, and others like Blunted, Smoke Frog, Curl Nose, and Cocoa Leaf. They're pumped after successfully catching the animal. As they start carving it up, Jaguar Paw hands out portions to everyone. Smoke Frog gets the heart, Curl Nose the liver, and Cocoa Leaf the ears. Then he jokingly gives Blunted the testicles, teasing that eating them will finally get him a child. See, Blunted's the only one in the group who doesn't have kids yet, but just as he's about to eat it, everyone bursts out laughing. It was all just a prank. Not long after, Jaguar Paw senses someone nearby. Sure enough, a man named Chase Poison steps out of the bushes with his group. Flinsky asks what they're doing on their land, and Chase Poison explains they're just passing through, looking for a new place to live after their village was attacked. Flinsky lets them pass. Soon, dozens of Chase Poison's people emerge from the bushes, wounded, bloodied, barely holding on. After that, Flinsky and his group head back to their village, but Jaguar Paw can't shake what he saw. His father tells him those people were consumed by fear, and fear spreads. He warns Jaguar Paw not to let it eat root, or it could infect the whole village. Later, Jaguar Paw returns to his young son, Turtles Run, and his heavily pregnant wife, Seven. That night, the villagers hold a small gathering. An elder tells a story about a man with empty eyes. Animals would come to him, giving him everything he desired, even knowledge he'd never seen before. But no matter what he got, it was never enough. It was a sign, the elder says, that he would take everything in the world until nothing was left. That night, Jaguar Paw has a nightmare. Chase Poison slicing open his stomach, ripping out his heart, warning him to run. He wakes up shaken. Turns out, it wasn't just a dream. He steps outside and sees the village still quiet, everyone asleep. Then suddenly, attackers storm in. Jaguar Paw rushes his wife and child to a hidden well and lowers them down with a rope to keep them safe. Meanwhile, the villagers are captured by a brutal group led by Zero Wolf. They don't hesitate to torture or kill anyone who resists. At the same time, one of the attackers spots Jaguar Paw lowering his family and goes after him. Jaguar Paw fights back and kills the man to protect them. He then runs back to help the others, but it's too late. Everyone's been captured, including Flinsky. Seeing his father, Jaguar Paw can only apologize for failing to save him. Realizing their connection, a man named Middle Eye drags Flinsky up, preparing to kill him. Before dying, Flinsky tells his son not to live in fear. Jaguar Paw is forced to watch his father get killed right in front of him, leaving him shattered. The attackers tie the villagers to long poles and march them away. One of them finds the rope near the well where Seven and Turtles Run are hiding. He drops a massive rock into the well and cuts the rope, making sure no one gets out. Seven and her son are now trapped with no escape. The group marches the adult prisoners forward while the children follow behind. Along the way, they come across Chase Poison's people, also captured. Blunted collapses at one point, struggling to breathe because of the rope around his neck. Jaguar Paw tries to help, but Middle Eye beats him and forces Blunted to keep moving. Eventually, they reach a deep river with a strong current. The children are forced to stop there, separated from their parents. Back at the well, Seven tends to Turtles Run's injured leg, stitching it up using army ants. For days, the prisoners are marched across cliffs. At one point, someone slips and nearly falls into a ravine. The others struggle to hold on, but they manage to pull back up. Even so, Middle Eye shows no mercy. He pushes the last prisoner off the cliff for slowing them down. Shortly after, Zero Wolf arrives and scolds him for wasting a prisoner. That night, they stop to rest. Zero Wolf approaches his son, Cut Rock, expressing pride in him for following in his footsteps, even giving him his weapon as a sign of respect. Meanwhile, Jaguar Paw and the others pray for the dead. The next day, they're marched through a land filled with cut-down trees, something the prisoners have never seen before. Soon, they pass an open area where a girl mourns her dead mother. The attackers warn everyone to stay away, saying she's infected. But the girl approaches anyway and gets shoved aside. She stares at them and says something terrible is coming, that the Jaguar Man will bring about the end of their world. They ignore her and keep moving. Not long after, they arrive at a Maya city. To the jungle tribe, it's completely alien. Massive structures towering over everything, far beyond anything they've ever known. Thousands of people are forced to work on these buildings, many of them visibly sick. The male prisoners are painted blue from head to toe. The women are sold off as slaves. The men are then taken up a stone pyramid. At the top, the king sits with his officials while a massive crowd cheers below. A high priest announces that a deadly disease is spreading through the city, weakening the people. To appease the gods, they will perform human sacrifices. One by one, the blue-painted men are dragged onto a stone altar. They're held down, their chests cut open while they're still alive, their hearts ripped out, and their heads severed. The ritual continues. Kronos becomes the next victim. Then it's Jaguar Paw's turn. He's laid down, the blade ready to slice him open. Suddenly, a solar eclipse. The entire crowd panics. The high priest declares it a sign. The gods are satisfied. The sacrifices stop. Jaguar Paw and a few others are spared, but they're not free. Middle Eye orders them to run toward the forest. As they do, hunters start throwing spears and stones at them. Blunted is struck and killed. Now it's just Jaguar Paw and Chase Poison trying to escape, but Chase Poison is shot with an arrow and dies instantly. Jaguar Paw is also hit, an arrow lodged in his side. Cut Rock chases him down, trying to finish him with a dagger, but Jaguar Paw fights back and kills him. Seeing his son dead, Zero Wolf loses it. Jaguar Paw uses the moment to escape into the jungle. Zero Wolf orders his men to hunt him down. As Jaguar Paw runs, he passes countless dead bodies, victims of the city's cruelty. He climbs a tree to hide and briefly evades them. But blood from his wound drips down, giving away his position. At the same time, he notices a jaguar and her cub in the same tree. Forced by fear, he climbs down. The chase resumes until the hunters become the hunted. The mother jaguar attacks, killing one of them and giving Jaguar Paw a chance to escape. The group later kills the jaguar. Some begin to believe it's the warning from the sick girl coming true. Zero Wolf ignores it and keeps going. Back at the well, Seven and Turtles Run hear chaos above, baboons fighting. One falls into the well. To protect herself and her child, Seven kills it. In the jungle, the hunters find Jaguar Paw's trail. One of them spots blue paint on a tree, but suddenly gets bitten on the neck by a snake and dies. Still, the others press on. Eventually, they catch up to Jaguar Paw near a waterfall. With no other choice, he jumps into the rushing water. The hunters assume he's dead, but he survives. Emerging downstream, he taunts them, saying the jungle is his home. He knows it better than they ever will. Enraged, Zero Wolf orders his men to jump. They hesitate, but obey. One of them dies, smashing against the rocks. Jaguar Paw keeps running, now using the jungle to fight back. He throws a beehive at them. Then coats spikes with poison from a frog. One by one, he takes them down. Then comes a brutal one-on-one fight with Middle Eye. After a savage struggle, Jaguar Paw kills him with his own weapon. Back at the well, heavy rain begins filling it with water. At the same time, Seven goes into labor, fighting to give birth while trying not to drown. Meanwhile, Jaguar Paw faces Zero Wolf in a final showdown. Zero Wolf shoots him in the chest, but unknowingly walks into a trap. As he lunges forward, he's impaled by a spear trap, the same kind Jaguar Paw once used with his father while hunting. With Zero Wolf dead, Jaguar Paw escapes the last two hunters. They reach the shore, where ships from foreign settlers appear, carrying people with far more advanced technology. The two hunters freeze, stunned by the sight. Jaguar Paw takes the chance to slip away. He returns to the well just in time, rescuing Seven and their children. Together, they walk back into the jungle. When Seven sees the ships in the distance, she asks if they should go. Jaguar Paw refuses, choosing instead to stay and start a new life in the forest. And that's where the film ends. Alright guys, that's the story of Apocalypto. Hope you enjoyed. See ya! In this video, I'm going to walk you through a survival story called Apocalypse Z, the beginning of the end. So here's the deal. This movie dives into how a zombie virus first breaks out and turns the world completely upside down. Want to know how it all goes down? Stick around, let's get into it. The story kicks off with a guy named Manuel Herrero, who's visiting his brother Ben's house. Manuel's there with his wife, Julia. They're helping watch Ben's kid while he's at work. Long story short, Ben gets home, the night gets late, and Manuel and Julia head out. On the drive back, Julia's behind the wheel, clearly annoyed. She's upset because Manuel still isn't ready to have kids. It gets to her so much that she loses focus, and their car almost flips before stopping right in the middle of the road. But they stay there too long, and out of nowhere, a massive truck slams into them. Manuel survives. Julia doesn't. A year later, Manuel's still stuck in that moment. He hasn't been able to move on. He's dealing with heavy trauma, barely even visits his brother anymore, and mostly keeps to himself. His only company? His cat, Luquillo. The only time he talks to Ben is through the occasional video call. Meanwhile, the world's starting to fall apart, but Manuel barely notices. There's talk on TV about a mysterious virus called TSC spreading fast across Europe. Spain even shuts down its borders and rolls out emergency measures, kind of like back during COVID.
Daniel Romero en Bruselas, entiendo, es a nivel global, en todo el mundo.
That same day, Manuel heads to the docks to meet someone interested in buying his boat. He starts going over the details, but when he steps into the cabin to grab the paperwork, he spots Julia's bracelet. And just like that, he's hit with memories. Him and Julia, happy, on their honeymoon out at sea. Yeah, he can't do it. He backs out of the sale.
Aquí mismo. Son 9 metros de eslora.
After that, he stops by a supermarket. People are panic buying like crazy, clearing out shelves, but Manuel doesn't think much of it. He just shops like it's any normal day. Back home, he hops on a video call with Ben. His brother tells him that his husband, who's in the military, is arranging to evacuate the family to the Canary Islands. He urges Manuel to come along. At first, Manuel brushes it off. He thinks he'll be fine, but after being pushed a few times, he finally agrees. The next day, he notices neighbors packing up and leaving, so he does the same, grabs Luquillo in a carrier and heads to the airport. On the way, the radio drops some pretty terrifying news. The TSC virus has mutated into something way worse. Now it spreads in minutes through bites or blood contact. When he gets to the airport, Manuel sends Ben a voice message saying he's ready to go. But while he's waiting in line, boom! Every flight gets canceled. Then, everyone's phones light up. Emergency alert, nationwide. People start panicking. Suddenly, a guy loses it and starts waving a weapon around. That's when Manuel decides, nope, not worth it, and runs out of there, heading back home. But getting home isn't easy. The city's in total chaos. Traffic's at a complete standstill. The radio's reporting attacks and riots everywhere, and the government's still not giving clear answers. After being stuck for hours, Manuel ditches the car and walks the rest of the way. By the time he gets back to his neighborhood, it's almost sunset, and what he sees? Soldiers setting up barricades in front of his neighbor Hogan's house. Not long after, Hogan's dragged out, tied up, gagged, and clearly infected. Manuel finally gets home, but his mind drifts right back to the accident that took him from Julia. The next morning, Ben calls again. He warns Manuel that the government plans to shut everything down and herd people into massive quarantine zones. But Ben thinks that's a death trap, too many people packed together. He begs Manuel to not go and promises he'll come get him when things calm down. While waiting, Manuel scrolls on Instagram. The videos are insane, people turning violent, attacking anyone nearby. Then another alert comes in. The entire country is officially in a state of national emergency. Running low on food, Manuel finally steps out to grab supplies. But the mini-market is a mess, people fighting over whatever's left, shelves completely wiped out. He tries a small shop next and manages to grab some leftovers. But just as he's leaving, a police officer stumbles in, bitten on the arm. Seconds later, infected people attack him. One of them spots Manuel and lunges at him, but before it can reach him, the wounded officer fires a shot and takes it down. At that point, Manuel knows it's only getting worse. He heads back home, builds a makeshift barricade, and sets up CCTV cameras to keep an eye on things outside. On TV, the president gives an emergency speech. The virus is completely out of control across Europe. Everyone is ordered to evacuate to quarantine zones. Refusal? It's now considered a crime. That night, soldiers start going door to door, picking people up, but Manuel stays hidden. He sticks to Ben's warning and doesn't go. 2 weeks pass. Manuel's still holding on alone. He keeps trying to contact Ben, but the network is dead. Food's running dangerously low. With no other option, Manuel gears up and heads out again, throwing together whatever protective gear he can find and carrying a spear gun. While scavenging, he runs into an old neighbor, an elderly woman named Gabriela. She refused evacuation because she didn't want to be a burden. She tells him there might still be food in some of the richer homes nearby. Following her lead, Manuel actually scores some supplies and even finds a working motorcycle. Finally, he can move around more freely. But things take a turn. Inside one house, he accidentally shoots a man who turns out not to be infected. The guy bolts immediately. Still, he discovers a hidden stash of food there. That night, for the first time in forever, Manuel and Gabriela sit down and actually eat in peace, in the middle of a collapsing world. A few days later, Manuel keeps trying to reach Ben, no luck. Then, one night, Gabriela picks up a radio broadcast. Survivors are being called to head to the Canary Islands. Apparently, it's still safe there. Hearing that, Manuel asks Gabriela to come with him. He plans to use his boat, but she refuses. She doesn't want to slow him down.
Podríamos intentarlo. Podríamos usar mi barco. Gabriela me oye.
The next day, when Manuel goes to pick her up, she's gone. She passed away. As he steps outside, a female zombie attacks him. But this time, he manages to take her down. After that, Manuel sends one last message to Ben. He's done waiting. He's heading to the Canary Islands on his own. With Luquillo by his side, Manuel jumps on the motorcycle and heads for the harbor. But the main road is blocked, so he takes a detour, cutting through a garden instead. As he cuts through the garden, out of nowhere, dozens of zombies burst out and start chasing Manuel. No hesitation, he guns the clutch and speeds off trying to shake them. But in the middle of his escape, he slams straight into a pile of corpses. The bike goes down hard. He scrambles to restart it. Nothing. Dead. With no other choice, Manuel takes off on foot, sprinting towards the harbor. Once he gets there, he slams the iron gate behind him, locking the zombies out. But then, his heart sinks. Every boat is gone, including his. Desperate, he rushes into a supply shop by the dock, grabbing whatever he can. Then he looks out at the ocean and spots something, a small boat and a speedboat still floating out there. Without thinking twice, he dives in and swims for it. He reaches the boat first, tries to start it, but it's busted. And to make matters worse, there's a zombie baby inside. Yeah, nope. Luckily, the speedboat still works, so Manuel takes off into the pitch-black night with Luquillo right there with him. A few hours later, the engine suddenly dies. Now, he's stranded alone in the middle of the ocean until a massive ship appears out of the darkness. Relief? Not quite. Instead of helping, the people on board aim their guns at him. Manuel gets taken aboard and questioned by a crew member named Victor, who then introduces him to the captain, Usakov, a Ukrainian guy who doesn't speak Spanish. Victor acts as the translator between them. Victor asks where Manuel is from and why he's out there alone. Manuel tells the truth. He's from a nearby port city and he's trying to make it to the Canary Islands. He even asks them to take him there. But Victor shuts that down. The ship's been damaged since the early days of the outbreak. It can't go far. Usakov then orders Victor to take Manuel to a room so he can rest. On the way, Victor opens up a bit, says he used to be a pilot. He also tells Manuel that tomorrow he'll need to help them guide to spots at the harbor where they might still find fuel or useful supplies. Before heading in, Manuel asks if they found any other survivors. Victor's answer? Nope, just him. But that night, Manuel wakes up to faint noises outside. He peeks through the window and sees a small boat approaching with people waving, begging for help. But the next morning, it's gone, like it never was there. When Victor comes to get him, Manuel brings it up, but Victor brushes it off, saying no one came, like Manuel imagined the whole thing. Weird, but Manuel lets it go and shows them the key locations around the harbor anyway. As soon as he does, Usakov orders his men to head out, fully armed. That's when Manuel starts noticing things. He sees the crew searching that same small boat he spotted the night before. And then, something else. A guard locking up a room tightly below deck. Manuel asks Victor about it, but instead of answers, Victor warns him, if he wants to stay alive, don't ask questions. That's when it clicks. Usakov is not a good guy. Not even close. Manuel tries to convince Victor to escape with him. He tells him there's still a helicopter at a hospital near the harbor. They could use it to reach the Canary Islands. Victor hesitates, but before he can answer, one of Usakov's men calls him away. So Manuel doesn't wait. He gears up, stuffs Luquillo in a bag, and once the coast is clear, he breaks into that locked room. Inside, he finds two men tied up. He frees them immediately. One of them begs Manuel to save his wife and child, but Manuel has no idea where they are. Then suddenly, a guard walks in and shoots the man dead. Right then, Victor shows up, but instead of helping the guard, he kills him. That's it. He's in. Victor joins Manuel. They make a run for it using a small boat, but just as they're about to get away, Usakov and his crew open fire. One of the rescued men gets killed. Victor takes a bullet to the shoulder. Still, somehow, Manuel and Victor manage to escape and reach the harbor. Manuel looks for a vehicle and finds a car with a zombie inside. He takes it out and they drive off toward the hospital to treat Victor and try to charge their phones. On the way, Victor reveals the truth. Usakov? He's a pirate. They hunt survivors, steal everything they have, even assault and kill anyone they don't need. When they arrive at the hospital, their hopes crash. The helicopter's gone. Then out of nowhere, a zombie smashes into the car window. Manuel shoots it, but the gunshot draws even more. After fighting them off, Manuel gets Victor inside. Carefully, he brings him into an operating room. Victor asks him to remove the bullet from his shoulder, so Manuel heads into the next room to find surgical tools. But while searching, he hears something. Kids' voices echoing through the vents. And then, zombies attack. Manuel fights his way out and makes it back into the operating room. Victor's gone. Out of nowhere, a nurse appears and tells him to follow her. She leads him to a hidden room. Inside, Victor's there, and Luquillo too. The nurse introduces herself as Lucia. There's also a doctor named Cecilia, along with 3 kids who've somehow survived. After confirming Victor hasn't been bitten, Cecilia performs emergency surgery with whatever tools they've got. After things calm down, Manuel explains why he came, to use the helicopter and get to the Canary Islands. Lucia tells him the truth. The helicopter is in the quarantine zone, surrounded by hundreds of zombies. That night, Cecilia admits their food is running low. She also reveals the kids are children of hospital staff whose parents have all turned. The next day, Manuel walks through the hospital halls, memories hitting him hard. His wife died here. He quietly places her bracelet on a hospital bed. Then, his phone buzzes. A message from Ben. It's a video. His family alive and well in the Canary Islands. Turns out Ben's been sending messages this whole time. They just never got through. Manuel, overwhelmed, finally replies. But not long after, gunshots echo in the distance. Manuel knows exactly who it is. Usakov. He quickly tells Lucia, Victor, and the others it's time to move. As they escape, they pass through a dangerous room. The moment they open the door, a zombie attacks and bites Cecilia. She knows what that means. With her last strength, she tells Lucia to save the children. They have no choice but to leave her behind. Moving forward, they enter a room packed with zombies. One of the kids, without realizing, calls out to their mother, now one of the infected. That sets everything off. Manuel tells Victor to take the others and go, he'll cover them. Somehow, they all make it out and regroup near the exit. The helicopter's in sight, but it's completely surrounded. Then Manuel gets an idea. Shopping carts. They use them as makeshift shields, pushing forward step by step. It's brutal, but they make it inside the fenced area. Victor gets the helicopter running, while Manuel and Lucia try to close the gate. But then Yusakov and his crew show up, blocking their way. So Manuel makes a call. He opens the gate, letting the zombies flood in and attack Yusakov and his men. In the chaos, Victor lifts the helicopter. Lucia drops a rope ladder and Manuel climbs up just in time. Finally, they're airborne. But as they head toward the Canary Islands, Manuel gets a call from Ben, panicked, telling him not to come. Manuel looks out the window. 2 military jets flying straight toward the islands. And that's when it hits him. The outbreak has already reached the Canary Islands. And just like that, the story ends. The story kicks off by introducing Andrew Dedmer, a quiet high school kid in America who lives with his mom, Karen, who's battling cancer, and his dad, Richard. Andrew mostly keeps to himself and only really has one close friend, his cousin, Matt Goretti. Matt's a good guy, always picking Andrew up for school, and during their rides, he encourages Andrew's new hobby, filming everything with this secondhand camera he just bought. Sometimes Matt even messes around and sneaks into frame just to make Andrew laugh and give him something fun to record. At school, Matt's the kind of guy everyone knows, popular, smart, and easygoing.
Oh, God.
Out of the way!
I'm gonna hang back a while.
When they get to school, Andrew starts shooting his own vlog, capturing random corners of campus and everyday student life. But his reality isn't exactly easy. He's often the target of bullying. That's partly why he bought the camera in the first place, to give himself something else to focus on. Ironically, it kind of backfires. The camera's bulky, and since filming in public wasn't really a thing back then, it just makes him stand out even more, and not in a good way.
Okay.
After school, Matt invites Andrew to a party at Heaven Hill, hoping to get him out of the house for once. But he suggests leaving the camera behind. People aren't exactly comfortable being filmed, and it might come off as creepy.
Okay.
Back home, Andrew actually looks happy rewatching his footage, until his dad ruins the mood. Richard lashes out and slaps him just for not doing chores. It's tense, messy, and pretty telling of what Andrew deals with every day. That night, Andrew ends up going to the party with Matt anyway, and yeah, he brings the camera. Matt ditches him on purpose, hoping Andrew will try to socialize on his own. But Andrew, being Andrew, looks completely out of place in the crowd. That's when he runs into Casey, another kid filming a vlog, but her camera is way smaller, sleeker, and way less awkward.
Oh, cool.
Hey, Casey.
Hey. Wow. Awesome.
After getting some shots of the party, Andrew briefly films a girl dancing, but that quickly turns into a problem when her boyfriend gets pissed and starts yelling at him. Not wanting any trouble, Andrew heads outside and sits alone near the parking lot. That's where Steve finds him, one of the popular guys at school, currently running for student body president. Despite his status, Steve's surprisingly chill. He tells Andrew about this weird hole he found earlier with Matt and invites him to check it out. Andrew hesitates at first, but it does sound interesting. And more importantly, it's something worth filming, so he goes along.
One thing.
Daddy, what's up? I see you!
Come on, let's go! Andrew's making that sound.
When they get there, a strange humming sound is coming from deep inside the hole. Curiosity gets the better of them, and they decide to climb down.
Hello? Matt! Hello?
Turns out it leads to some kind of cave. At the far end, there's this bizarre crystal-like structure glowing bright blue, almost like it's alive. As they move closer, the light slowly shifts to red, and suddenly, all three of them start bleeding from the nose. Andrew's camera cuts out.
All right, here we go.
Sometime later, they wake up, alive, but something's clearly changed. Whatever was in that cave, it did something to them. They soon realize they've developed telekinesis, the ability to move things without touching them. Naturally, they start experimenting. At first, it's simple stuff, throwing a ball around, stacking Legos, but Andrew picks it up faster than the others.
Sick. I'm impressed.
Still curious, they go back to the hole, only to find it completely sealed off and guarded. Whatever was there is now locked down tight, and they're forced to leave. Not long after, Andrew upgrades to a more normal-looking camera. Steve gives him a ride home, and during the drive, Andrew opens up about his dad, how he used to be a firefighter but got seriously injured on the job. Since then, he's been out of work, drinks a lot, and lives off insurance money. Steve shares his own story too. His parents are constantly fighting because of his mom's affair. It's one of those moments where they actually connect.
Thanks.
Back home, Andrew keeps practicing his powers. Meanwhile, his mom's condition keeps getting worse. The next day, he takes her out for a walk, just to spend some time together while he still can.
Peace.
As time passes, life starts to feel lighter, more fun. Andrew, Matt, and Steve begin using their powers for harmless and not-so-harmless pranks, lifting girls' skirts at school, messing with shoppers, even moving random cars. But there's a catch. Anytime they push too hard, like trying to lift something heavy, they get nosebleeds again. It's like their bodies can't fully handle the strain. Still, for Andrew, life has never felt this exciting. That is, until one day on the way home from school, a car behind them keeps honking impatiently. Andrew snaps. In a burst of anger, he flings the car off the road, sending it crashing down a cliff. Thankfully, Matt and Steve react fast, saving the driver and calling the police. The guy survives.
Yeah, he's fine, yeah. Fine!
That moment changes everything. They all agree to be more careful. Matt lays down some ground rules. No using their powers on living things, no using them when they're angry, and absolutely no using or talking about them in public.
Do you understand that? You hurt somebody!
Even so, the next day, Matt can't shake the feeling that Andrew might lose control. He warns him again, these abilities are getting stronger, and that's not exactly comforting.
I understand.
After school, the three of them even figure out how to fly. Yeah, actually fly.
Don't try I got it. Bullshit! Yeah! Yes! Nice, Steve!
But they get carried away and go too high, nearly colliding with a plane. They barely make it out okay by working together.
Oh my God! He's dying, man! I almost had you.
The next day at the library, while working on assignments, Andrew casually mentions he wants to travel to Tibet someday with his friends. He says places like that feel peaceful, the complete opposite of the life he's used to.
You down, Steve?
Well, so I don't know if I'm down for that.
Later, Andrew and Steve fly out to the city and sit on top of a tall building eating Mendoan. Andrew reflects on how different his life feels now, how much more colorful it is compared to before when it was just him and Matt and everything else felt awkward and distant. Steve, still struggling with precise control, listens as Andrew explains how to move objects more smoothly by imagining you're physically holding them. That sparks an idea. Steve suggests Andrew should show off his powers at the school talent show. Out of the three, Andrew clearly has the best control. He hesitates, but eventually agrees.
We can do, man!
Steve even lends him a shirt for the performance. Andrew is genuinely excited, but his dad starts noticing his changes in him, especially since Matt doesn't come by anymore.
You're lying. You're up to something.
The night of the talent show arrives. Students take the stage with all kinds of performances, bands, dancing, singing, traditional acts. In the middle of it all, Matt is filming the event with Andrew's camera. Casey shows up too, also recording.
Oh, here we go.
Philosophical comeback for me.
Then, it's Andrew's turn. He steps onto the stage with Steve beside him as Matt films. At first, he looks nervous, but then he does it. He lifts a scattered deck of cards off the floor and pulls them back into his hand without touching them. The crowd goes silent, then erupts. He keeps going, balancing on a rope, manipulating objects, pulling off one mind-blowing trick after another. To everyone else, it looks like magic. From that moment on, everything changes for Andrew. He's more confident now. He starts going to parties, talking to people. His popularity shoots up, even catching the attention of a red-haired girl who starts getting close to him. Meanwhile, Matt seems to be enjoying himself too, filming parties alongside Casey.
Kind of thinking about it in my position.
Do you want to get out of here?
Yes, definitely.
Meanwhile, that red-haired girl pulls Andrew aside into a quieter room and offers him a drink. Seeing this, Steve keeps an eye on things just to make sure everything's cool. But Andrew isn't used to alcohol at all, and yeah, it hits him hard. Out of nowhere, he throws up right in front of her. Instant mood killer. She's completely grossed out and walks away without a second thought. A little later, Steve comes over, trying to cheer him up, but Andrew's too embarrassed and honestly, pretty pissed. Instead of accepting the support, he snaps and tells Steve to leave, convinced he's just there to laugh at him. The next day, things at home fall apart again. Andrew's mom is in pain and needs her medication, and he starts freaking out when he can't find his dad anywhere. Then he walks in on Richard tearing through his room and finds the new camera. That sets him off. Richard goes ballistic, accusing Andrew of wasting money on a camera while his mom is sick, even bringing up school expenses like Andrew's some kind of burden. That's the breaking point. Andrew finally fires back. He tells his dad the camera was bought with his own savings, that he's on a scholarship at a public school, and then he drops the truth. His dad's a loser who barely supports him. That hits hard, and Richard completely loses it. He starts beating Andrew again, but this time, Andrew doesn't just take it. He fights back with his powers. The emotional surge is so intense that Matt and Steve actually feel it from a distance. A loud ringing fills their heads and their noses start bleeding. Steve tries calling Matt, but Matt's too busy hanging out with Casey to notice, so Steve follows that strange pull in his head and finds Andrew floating up in the middle of a storm. He tries to calm him down, but Andrew's already too far gone. All the anger, the humiliation, the years of abuse, it all comes pouring out. He talks about how he embarrassed himself at the party, how he never had a real father, how everything's just messed up. He tells Steve to leave him alone, but Steve doesn't go. He stays, because that's what friends do. And then, something goes horribly wrong. In the middle of that emotional chaos, Andrew accidentally triggers a bolt of lightning. It strikes Steve. He dies instantly. The next day, at Steve's funeral, Matt can't shake the feeling that something isn't right. Steve was found out in the open during a lightning storm. It just doesn't add up. Deep down, Matt starts to suspect Andrew might have had something to do with it, but when he tries to bring it up, Andrew shuts it down and just flies off.
Andrew.
Later that evening, when the cemetery is empty, Andrew comes back alone. He stands there, overwhelmed with guilt. He knows what happened, and he knows it's on him. After that, he returns to the site of the cave where everything started, but now it's just grass, no sign of what used to be there, like it never existed. The next day at school, things get worse. Rumors from the party have spread and students start mocking and bullying him again, but this time, Andrew doesn't stay quiet. He snaps, and in a brutal act of revenge, he telekinetically pulls out the teeth of one of the guys who used to bully him. That's when it becomes clear. Andrew's changing. All the pain he's been carrying starts twisting him from the inside. He begins to believe that power is the only thing that gives him control. At one point, he even calls himself an apex predator, like he's at the top of the food chain now. From then on, he distances himself completely, even from Matt. One day, while trying to buy medicine for his mom, Matt shows up out of nowhere. He confronts Andrew about what happened at school. He reminds him of their rules and warns him that if things go too far again, he'll stop him himself. Andrew doesn't even flinch. He easily blocks Matt's attempt to restrain him and forces him to back off. At the pharmacy, things go from bad to worse. Andrew can't afford the medication and his card gets declined. Meanwhile, his dad is nowhere to be found. The pressure builds, and finally, he snaps again. He puts on his dad's old firefighter jacket to hide his identity. Then he starts taking money from people who used to bully him. But it's not enough, so he goes bigger. Andrew robs a gas station, and when the clerk tries to shoot him, Andrew deflects the bullet, sending it straight into a gas tank. Boom! A massive explosion. Andrew survives, but he's badly burned and rushed to the hospital. Since the robbery was caught on CCTV, the police keep a close watch on him. When Richard comes to visit, he tells Andrew that his mom has died, alone in her bed, and instead of comfort, he blames Andrew, demanding an apology. The truth? Richard knows he's being recorded. He's playing the victim. But Andrew hears everything, and that's it. He loses control completely. He wakes up and tears the hospital room apart. Elsewhere, Matt, who's at a family birthday party, suddenly feels that same intense ringing again. Nosebleed. He sees the news about the hospital explosion and immediately connects the dots. It's Andrew. He rushes to the scene, with Casey insisting on coming along, camera in hand. When they arrive, the place is chaos, police everywhere, crowds gathering. Then Andrew appears, hovering in the air, holding his dad, and he drops him. When Matt tries to get Casey out of there, Andrew chases them. He starts throwing everything, helicopters, cars, dragging them toward the Space Needle in the middle of the city. At one point, he even grabs Casey and throws her off, but Matt manages to catch her midair.
Matt, please don't go!
Matt tries one last time to talk him down, but Andrew's too far gone. He's furious that Matt saved his father, the man he wanted dead. He doubles down, declaring again that he's the apex predator, that he can do whatever he wants. And then, he throws a bus at Matt. That's when the fight begins. Matt has no choice anymore. He fights back, and eventually manages to bring Andrew down after he gets electrocuted by streetlights. Police surround them and open fire. Matt tries to shield Andrew and gets injured in the process, but Andrew gets back up and starts flinging officers around like rag dolls. Everything spirals into total chaos. Their fight continues until they crash near a statue of Zeus. Police keep firing, but Andrew stops the bullets midair and sends them right back. Buildings start collapsing. People are in danger everywhere. Matt realizes there's no other way. So he grabs a spear from the Zeus statue and drives it through Andrew. Just like that, it's over. After everything, Matt is the only one left. To honor Andrew and Steve, he travels alone to Tibet. There, he records himself using Andrew's camera, promising to use their powers for something good and to find out where those mysterious abilities really came from. And that's where the story ends. Alright guys, that's the full breakdown of Chronicle. Hope you enjoyed the ride. Sorry if there were any mistakes along the way. Names, details, all that. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
생명체를 죽이세요.
The story opens on Kim Dokja, just an ordinary guy living a pretty flat, uneventful life. But there's one thing he's obsessed with, a web novel called Way of Survival. He's not just a fan though, he's literally the last reader who stuck with it all the way to the end.
The novel tells the story of gods punishing humanity with endless suffering, and just when the world is on the brink of collapse, the main character, Yu Jong-hook, shows up with his companions fighting back against despair itself. Most people dropped the story early on, saying it was way too over the top and unrealistic, but Dokja? He stayed till the very last chapter. He admired Yu Jong-hook. The guy just kept getting back up no matter how many times he lost. Meanwhile, Doctor's real life couldn't be more different. He's just a regular guy, often bullied, too scared to stand up for himself, even when he's forced into fights against his own friend. After graduating college, nothing really changes. He ends up working as a contract employee at some company. Then one day, two major things happen at once. First, the final chapter of Way of Survival finally gets released, basically just for him. Second, his work contract comes to an end. Before moving on, Doc just sends a message to the author, thanking them for the incredible story, but he also calls out the ending, saying it's way too depressing and kind of ruins everything. Honestly, he wishes the author would write a better, happier ending. On his way home by train, Doctor runs into his co-worker, Yu Sang-ah, who's in the same boat as him, just another contract employee trying to get by. Not long after, some sleazy manager shows up and starts hitting on Sang-ah, dangling a promotion in front of her. Thinking fast, she pretends she already has plans with Dokja just to get away from him. At that exact moment, Dokja gets a reply from a mysterious account named TLS-13. Turns out, it's the author of the novel. In the message, the author thanks him for being a loyal reader and then asks him to write his own version of the ending. Before Dokja can even process that, the train suddenly derails and comes to a screeching halt. Then a strange voice echoes through the air, announcing that the free service of Planet 8612 system has just been terminated. Right away, Dokja freezes. That line? It's exactly how the novel begins. Moments later, a weird little floating creature appears, kind of like a tiny doll. It tries to explain what's going on, but the passengers just complain, thinking it's some kind of system glitch. One guy even yells at it. Big mistake. The creature gets pissed and without hesitation fires a beam from its eyes, killing him instantly. Then it calmly announces that the gods have decided to punish humanity, calling them the most selfish species in the universe. From now on, everyone has to participate in survival scenarios. The first challenge, kill at least one living creature within 10 minutes to earn 300 coins. Fail, and you die. Panic explodes. Passengers start attacking each other just to survive. In the chaos, Dokja notices a little kid clutching a glass box filled with pet ants, while the exits are blocked by some invisible wall. And then he sees him, Yu Jong-hook, the protagonist of the novel, standing right there in the real world. That's when it hits him. Way of Survival isn't fiction anymore, it's real, and he's the only one who knows how the story goes. Dokja's eyes shift back to the ant box, and that's when he gets an idea. He grabs a few ants and hands them to Sang-ah so she can survive. He even tries to help more people. But everything's too chaotic, no one's paying attention. So, without hesitation, Dokja kills an ant. Instantly, the system announces that someone has cleared the scenario. That's when people finally listen. They realized living creature doesn't just mean humans, it includes animals, even insects. Unfortunately, there aren't enough ants for everyone. Chaos erupts again when the greedy manager tries to snatch the box for himself. Not long after, Dokja spots a man about to kill an old woman. He rushes in to help, only to freeze when he realizes who it is. Kim Nam-won, a character from the novel. Knowing he's outmatched, Dokja spends his 300 coins to boost his physical strength. But it's too late. Nam-won already has power from a sponsor and activates a dark transformation ability. In seconds, Dokja gets beaten down again. Just when things look hopeless, Dokja notices a capsule filled with ant eggs near his feet. He grabs it and crushes it. The system instantly counts hundreds of lives lost at once, earning him a massive amount of coins. He quickly converts them into enhanced reflexes, and just like that, turn the fight around, defeating Nam-won. When the timer runs out, the system kills everyone who failed the challenge, one by one, with holes blasted through their heads, including the old woman he couldn't save. The floating creature reappears and explains that the constellations, godlike beings watching from other dimensions, are thoroughly entertained. The survivors now have the right to choose a sponsor and gain new powers. But before anyone can react, the train violently shakes, flips over, and crashes off a bridge. Outside, a massive water creature is attacking non-stop. A soldier tries to open the door so everyone can escape. Dokja recognizes him immediately.
Yi Lee Hansong, one of Yu Jong-hook's allies in the novel. With Doctor guiding him, they managed to open the door and people started pouring out. In the chaos, the kid with the ants refused to leave, still angry at Dokja. Without wasting time, Dokja picks him up and runs. But the nightmare isn't over. A new challenge appears. Cross the collapsing bridge for 1,000 coins. Below them, the water creature keeps slamming into the structure, ready to tear it apart. As if that wasn't enough, it even turns victims into zombies and sends them after the survivors. Right then, Sang-ah suddenly awakens her power. Strong threads shoot from her hands, forming a path across the gap. From a distance, Dokja spots Yu Jong-hook fighting off zombies alone. He remembers something crucial. In the original novel, Jong-hook dies at Chunmo railway station while facing a fire dragon. And if that happens, the world is basically doomed. Realizing that, Dokja decides he has to stop it. He tries to warn Yu Jong-hook, but the guy doesn't buy it. Instead, he challenges him to prove it. Then, without hesitation, Jong-hook shoves him off the bridge. Dokja falls straight into the water and gets swallowed by a sea monster. Inside its stomach, he discovers a hidden scenario. If he can kill the monster and escape alive, he'll earn 9,000 coins. If not, he'll die within 48 hours. Soon after, the broadcaster creature shows up again. Based on what he knows, Dokja realizes its name, Bihyung, a streamer broadcasting everything live to the constellations. Dokja proposes a deal. He'll boost the viewership and profits if Bihyung cooperates. Intrigued, Bihyung agrees. They form a secret partnership. Dokja's actions inside the monster catch the attention of the constellations, flooding him with support. He even signs a profit-sharing contract with Bihyung. As acidic fluid starts filling the monster's stomach, Dokja uses items he bought to block the flow and eventually manages to kill the creature. He takes its core, trades it for a special item, and uses his gear to escape from inside the monster's body. Back on land, he's immediately bombarded with sponsorship offers from the constellations, but he rejects all of them and even asks to disable the feature entirely. No time to waste, he heads straight for Chunmo railway station. Along the way, he stops at a shop and runs into a few survivors, but out of nowhere, a giant grasshopper attacks. With quick reflexes, Dokja saves one of them. The woman introduces herself as Jun Ziwan. But before they can even catch their breath, a group of people shows up, clearly intent on killing Heewon and the others. Seeing the danger, Dokja immediately spends 1,500 coins to gear up for a fight. The fight was inevitable. But just as things were about to spiral out of control, everything suddenly came to a halt when a well-dressed man stepped in. Neat suit, tie perfectly in place. For some reason, there was something about him that felt off. At the same time, Sang-ah and the others turned out to be there too, and they finally regrouped. Still, something didn't sit right. Yu Jong-hook, the main character, hadn't left for Chunmo Station like he was supposed to in the original story. That's when Dokja realized it. The scenario at Gumho Station wasn't over yet, and until it was, there was no moving forward. According to the rules, everyone at Gumho Station had to pay a daily tax of 100 coins just to stay alive. Not long after, the manager in the tie revealed that Dokja was loaded with coins. Instantly, people around them started demanding he share, begging him to save them. And then it clicked. Dokja finally remembered who that man was, Chun In-ho, a monster who had abandoned his humanity in exchange for power. Without hesitation, Dokja refused. Instead, he decided to clear the station scenario himself, to free everyone from the oppressive tax and from that man-eating monster in a suit. This time, the objective was simple: wipe out every monster in the station area. No time limit. Reward: 5,000 coins. Before they got started, Dokja recalled Heewon's story from the novel. In the original version, she lost her friends fighting Chun In-ho at a convenience store and died soon after. But this time, Dokja had already changed that fate by saving her. Now, Heewon was driven purely by rage and revenge, especially towards the man in the tie, who had deliberately kept the scenario unfinished just to maintain control and extort coins from everyone. After crafting makeshift weapons out of wood and duct tape, they moved through the pitch-black underground tracks. Luckily, Gil Young, who now had the ability to control animals, summoned a swarm of fireflies to light the way. But the calm didn't last long. Monsters attacked. In the chaos, Sang-ah was taken by one of them. Dakcha and the others immediately gave chase, eventually reaching the boss's nest, a giant mole-like creature. A brutal fight broke out, and for a moment, it looked like they had the upper hand. But when cornered, the boss unleashed its trump card, an illusion prison. Anyone caught in it would be trapped in their deepest nightmares until they died. Hee-won and Hyun-sung got caught. Both were forced to relive the worst moments of their lives. With everything falling apart, Dakcha called in Bi-hyung and bought a special item, pure white energy that could pierce through illusions. With that, he broke the spell, defeated the boss, and saved everyone. As a reward, each of them received new gear. Hee-won got dual blades, Hyun-sung got arm guards, Gil-young received an insect control helmet, Sang-ah got a cloak, and Dakcha ended up with a broken sword. To restore it, he'd need a rare item called the Ether of Eye. Before leaving, Gil-young found a strange blue stone. Dakcha explained that on an island in Hawaii, we see a doctor named Doc Lambert walking into the enclosure of a chimpanzee named Ben. He's not there for no reason. Ben's been looking off, so Lambert came to give him a shot. But just as he's about to do it, Ben hides. So Lambert pulls out Ben's favorite teddy bear, using it to lure him back out. It works for a second. As Lambert gets closer, Ben suddenly grabs him and rips the skin off his face. So what the hell happened to Ben? To find out, we rewind 36 hours earlier. Shin takes us back. A college student named Lucy is on a plane with her best friend, Kat. They're heading to Hawaii to spend vacation at Lucy's house. Lucy hasn't been home much since her mom passed away, and because of that, her relationship with her younger sibling, Aeon, has grown distant. Turns out, Kat also invited her friend Hana along, something that makes Lucy a little uncomfortable. Around the same time, two guys named Brad and Drew hit on Hana, and she casually gives them her number.
Come on in. Okay, all right.
Not long after, Lucy, Kat, and Hana arrive in Hawaii, where they're picked up by Nick, Kat's cousin.
Hi. Finally came back home, huh? He's got some more.
From there, they head to Lucy's house on a private island. When they arrive, they're greeted by Lucy's dad, Adam, a deaf novelist. Because of that, they communicate using sign language.
We're gonna unpack. Okay, bye.
Lucy later talks to Aeon, who opens up about feeling hurt that she rarely comes home. Lucy apologizes, and eventually Aeon understands. After that, Lucy shows them a teddy bear she bought for their pet chimp, Ben. They've raised Ben since he was little, and he's incredibly smart. He even uses a tablet with special features to communicate with humans. Lucy introduces Ben to Hana, who's nervous at first, but also kind of amused.
Hi, Ben. He wants you to shake his hand. It's okay, new friend.
That night, Hana wanders around the house looking at family photos. At the same time, Nick shows up and tells her that Lucy's mom died a year ago from cancer. He also explains that she used to be a linguistics professor who studied communication between humans and chimpanzees until she decided to bring baby Ben home and raise him herself. After Nick leaves, Hana sits alone by the pool. Out of nowhere, Ben shows up, but something's off. He's drooling heavily, breathing hard, and then he grabs Hana's hand way too tight, scaring her. Luckily, Adam shows up just in time, blowing a whistle to stop Ben. After that incident, he decides to lock Ben back in his enclosure for the time being. But inside the cage, Adam finds a blood-covered badger. He assumes Ben fought it. Ben shakes his head and shows his hand. It's been bitten by the animal. Adam wraps up the dead badger to send it to a lab for testing and plans to call his vet friend Lambert to check on Ben. The next day, Adam promises Lucy and Aeon they'll spend time together after he finishes a book signing event. That night, Lucy, Kat, Hana, and Nick are hanging out by the pool, having a good time. They chat and even plan to invite Brad and Drew over. But suddenly, Hana starts feeling sick. so Lucy walks her back to her room to rest.
And you see it?
Meanwhile, Lambert enters Ben's enclosure just like we saw at the beginning. Unfortunately, he forgets to lock it behind him. Now infected with rabies, Ben becomes even more aggressive. He escapes and kills Lambert. A little while later, Kat goes to grab some drinks, but the living room feels way too quiet and dark. Then suddenly, Ben appears. He looks completely different now. He stares at Kat and slowly starts approaching her. Terrified, Kat slams the door shut and calls out for Lucy. Lucy checks the living room, but Ben is gone. They're confused. How did he even get out? That's when Lucy notices blood stains on Ben's teddy bear. Moments later, they hear Hannah screaming. They rush to the pool and see Nick and Hannah facing off against Ben. Lucy tries to calm Ben down by talking to him, while Nick quietly grabs a rope. But out of nowhere, a toy goes off loudly, triggering Ben again. He goes wild. Nick throws the toy into the ocean, while Lucy takes the rope and carefully approaches Ben. She hugs him and slowly manages to put the rope on him. Right then, Aeon shows up and tells them to call Lambert. But when Kat tries calling him, they hear Lambert's phone ringing from inside Ben's enclosure. While they're distracted, Ben bites through the rope and breaks free. He attacks Aeon, biting into his leg. With no other choice, they all jump into the pool to get away. Strangely, Ben stops at the edge. He looks scared of the water. That's when it hits them. Ben is probably infected with rabies.
Chimps get rabies.
They try to find a way out, but there's nothing. They're stuck on a remote island, and no matter how loud they scream, no one hears them. Meanwhile, Ben climbs up above the pool to the other side, where there's a steep cliff dropping straight into the ocean. Nick takes a chance and tries to push him off. At first it works, but Ben manages to hang on. He climbs back up and drags Nick down with him, killing him. Seeing that, Kat and the others break down in hysterics, while Ben lets out a wild, terrifying scream. Hours pass. They're still stuck in the pool, exhausted, while Ben keeps watching them. Aeon's injury only makes things worse. Then, Lucy spots a float. She quietly gets out of the water, grabs it, and hands it to the others. But she also wants to grab a phone. So she sneaks off to get it. Unfortunately, the phone suddenly rings, setting Ben off again. Kat climbs out to distract him, while Lucy manages to grab the phone. They both make it back to the pool. Lucy calls Brad and Drew for help, but they think it's a joke. That sets Hannah off, and she yells at them to come to the address she just sent. Then suddenly, Ben drops down from the chandelier right above the pool. He grabs Hannah by the hair and rips her scalp. She screams in agony. After that, Ben backs off again, while their phone falls into the water and dies. Ben then grabs his tablet, repeatedly pressing the button that says, "Father." Elsewhere, Adam is at a book signing with an interpreter. He gets a call from someone at the lab, but ignores it. Not long after, they inform him that the badger he sent tested positive for rabies. Adam doesn't believe it. Rabies isn't supposed to exist in Hawaii. He tries calling Lucy, but she doesn't answer. Her phone is still in her room. Back at the house, the girls are still stuck in the pool, completely drained. Then, Kat notices something. Ben is nowhere to be seen. Coincidentally, Nick's phone is charging in the living room, so Lucy and Kat decide to risk it and go get it. They move slowly, staying alert. Somehow, they make it inside without being noticed. But just as Lucy is about to grab the phone, she accidentally steps on the TV remote. The TV turns on. The sound immediately draws Ben's attention. Lucy and Kat quickly hide inside a closet while Ben walks in and sits in front of the TV. Out of nowhere, he starts smashing it. Panicking, Lucy and Kat accidentally knock something over. Ben freezes. He knows they're there. And then he slams into the closet they're hiding in. Luckily, Lucy and Kat manage to hide well enough that Ben doesn't find them. Once he's gone, Lucy quickly slips out to grab Nick's phone. But then, out of nowhere, Ben's tablet goes off. Lucy bad. Turns out, Ben is already right above her. He lunges at Lucy instantly. Kat jumps out, grabbing a stick and swinging at Ben. That split-second distraction is all they need. Lucy and Kat take off running and slam the door shut behind them. But Ben isn't just some animal. He's smart. He figures out how to open the door and starts pounding hard against the glass. His rage builds until he suddenly backs up and smashes straight through it. Lucy and Kat run for their lives. But even as they try to get away, Ben manages to grab Kat's leg, sending her crashing down the stairs. Without hesitation, he picks up a large rock and brutally smashes her head. Kat is dead. Lucy can only scream in horror, but that scream just makes Ben turn towards her. He chases her down. Lucy runs as fast as she can, heading for the pool, but just as she's about to jump, Ben catches her and attacks. At the same time, Hannah scrambles out of the pool, grabs a rope, and throws it around Ben's neck. She pulls with everything she's got, trying to drag him into the water, with Lucy helping. But they're no match for his strength. Instead, Ben yanks the rope back, completely overpowering them. Meanwhile, Adam has just wrapped up his event and even chats briefly with the studio about future work. But something feels off. Lucy hasn't answered his calls or texts. Worried, Adam decides to head home. Back at the house, Brad and Drew finally arrive and split up to look for the girls. Drew ends up in Lucy's room, where he sees photos of Lucy with Ben and finds it kind of strange. Then suddenly, Ben appears. He slowly walks towards Drew.
Okay.
Trying to stay calm, Drew holds up his car keys, hoping to distract him. For a moment, it works, but then it doesn't. Ben steps closer, grabs Drew's face, and rips his jaw apart. Just like that, Drew is gone. Elsewhere, Brad finds Lucy and the others at the pool. But before he can do anything, Ben appears behind him. Panicked, Brad grabs a shovel and tries to fight back. It doesn't matter. Ben attacks him brutally. Seeing her chance, Hannah runs. She rushes out of the pool, grabs some keys and a phone, and makes a break for the car. But as she tries to start it, she realizes, wrong key. She runs towards Lucy's car instead, but Ben is already there, standing in front of her, holding Drew's car keys. Hannah begs for help, but it's useless.
You just send the police. Trace's call or something.
Ben is completely out of control. He climbs into the car through the trunk, drags Hannah out, and beats her mercilessly until she's completely helpless. Back at the pool, Lucy forces herself out and sees the house in total chaos. As she moves, she accidentally steps on broken glass, slicing her foot badly. While trying to pull the shard out, Ben suddenly shows up again and attacks her. But right then, Adam arrives home. Hearing the car, Ben immediately shifts his attention and starts heading towards Adam. Lucy tries to chase after him to protect her dad. But Adam is deaf. She can't warn him. She's on her own. For a moment, Ben suddenly acts calm, almost tame. He slowly approaches Lucy. but the second she reaches out,
The film opens in the land of Belagori, a place known for its heroes. The narration talks about all these legendary figures, but says none of them come close to Venice, the so-called bridge Phaikon. Brave, quick on his feet, relentless, the guy basically sounds like a living legend. Then you realize, yeah, he's the one saying all that. Venice is literally hyping himself up, which tells you pretty quickly, this guy loves the sound of his own name. Right in the middle of his little speech, his assistant Maloka cuts in, reminding him they've got a job to do, track down a giant boar that's been messing with the villagers by stealing their food. Venice isn't thrilled. He thinks the job is way beneath someone of his status. When they finally get to the spot, Maloka pulls out a spyglass. The boar's right there in front of them, but once they get a better look, yeah, that's no ordinary pig. It's something else entirely. Seeing that the creature is asleep, Venice figures this is his moment to shine and attacks first. Problem is, his sword barely even scratches the thing. Watching him struggle, Maloka jumps in and hits the creature right on the nose, waking it up. Turns out the boar has wings, and yep, it can fly. Luckily, Maloka tosses a rope at the right moment, and Venice manages to wrestle it under control and bring it crashing down right into the center of town. The whole place erupts in cheers. The beast is cooked up for a feast, and during the celebration, Venice is out there handing out little figurines and autographs to kids like a celebrity. Maloka then notices a young noble named Glassa watching Venice closely and suggests, half serious, that maybe this could turn into something more like marriage. Venice shuts that down immediately. In his mind, he deserves someone perfect, at least by his own standards. In the middle of the festivities, a couple, Peter and Feburania, approach him asking if they can name their child after him. Venice? Not into it. He refuses. Not long after, Baba Yaga shows up, a 300-year-old healer who still looks young thanks to her magical apples. She asks Venice to help her move a massive rock that's blocking a river and threatening her orchard. Venice doesn't even consider it, says the job is way too trivial for a hero like him. Instead, he starts going on about his past heroics, fighting stone giants, deadly fish, tree monsters, Mongol armies, dark sorcerers, the works. Sure, he exaggerates a bit, but still, those were real, dangerous missions. Yaga isn't impressed. She throws some shade, calling him nothing more than a pig-cooking hero, and even jokes that maybe tomorrow he should go hunt chickens instead. The crowd bursts at laughter. Maloka doesn't take that lightly and fires back, mocking Yaga as just an old woman. Bad move. Yaga gets offended and tosses some magic powder, bringing Maloka's head covering to life. It literally starts attacking her. Venice steps in just in time to save her, while Yaga storms off. But that jab sticks with Venice. Being laughed at like that? Not happening. He demands a real mission, something dangerous, something worthy of his ego. Maloka actually has one, but she's been holding back because it's seriously risky. When she says that, Venice takes it as an insult. In a fit of anger, he throws his weapon, almost hitting Peter and Feburania. Finally, Maloka lays it out. Beyond Belagori in the White Mountains, there's an old castle, creepy, abandoned, the kind of place people avoid. Rumor has it, inside there's a woman of unbelievable beauty. But anyone who tries to get close, they don't make it out alive. The castle is guarded by some unknown, terrifying creature. Of course, that's all Venice needs to hear. He's convinced this is where he'll find his true love. So at midnight, he and Maloka set out for the castle. When they arrive, they find other knights already there, same goal, and they all recognize Venice as the #1 hero. That's when Venice comes up with a plan. He asks Maloka to put all the other knights to sleep so he can enter the castle alone at dawn. Why? Because he wants all the glory for himself. Next morning, it works. Everyone's out cold and Venice walks into the castle alone. Inside, he meets a stunning woman named Slata, and just like that, he's completely taken by her. But instead of a warm welcome, she smiles and casually tells him, yeah, he's about to die. Venice keeps going anyway, and that's when the Guardian shows up. It's a chimera, half lion, half serpent, and it's as terrifying as it sounds. They fight, and for a moment, it actually looks like Venice might win. But when he tries to rip the creature's jaws apart, venom from the snake parts sprays into his face.
his vision starts fading. Blinded and disoriented, he swings wildly, losing control, and ends up bringing the whole castle down around him. The crash wakes Maloka and the other knights. They rush in and find Venice buried in the rubble. But the real shock? He can't see. The Chimera's poison has left him completely blind. He calls it a disaster, because how can people rely on a hero who can't even see? Maloka brings him home, but Venice spirals. Frustration turns into bitterness, and he starts lashing out at her until she finally decides to leave. A few days later, Baba Yaga is busy trying to make a new potion to replace her magical apples. Then Maloka shows up, asking for help to cure Venice. Yaga is still offended, and Maloka doesn't exactly help by throwing more insults. Yaga snaps again, uses her magic, and this time Maloka's shoes come alive and attack her. Yeah, that doesn't go well. Maloka leaves empty-handed. Back home, Venice sinks deeper into despair. He ignores the people, pushes everyone away, and slowly they stop coming around. Life gets rough. He's broke, hungry, even eating scraps just to survive. Meanwhile, Maloka keeps working, eventually moving on from being his assistant altogether. One night, Yaga secretly drops by with food. But before anything else can happen, slave hunters attack the village, capturing several people. Venice tries to fight back and actually manages to take down a few of them, but without his sight, it's a losing battle. He's eventually overwhelmed and knocked out. He wakes up in the cargo hold of a ship. Yaga's there too. She tells them they've been stuck on the ship for 3 days, no food. Then Maloka shows up. She managed to trick the ship's captain and brought back some food, including this weird yellow fruit none of them recognize. She also stole a strange object from the captain. When they clean it, a sand-like genie bursts out and goes completely berserk. Venice tries to fight it, but again, being blind puts him at a huge disadvantage. Just as the creature is about to attack the prisoners, Maloka panics and blurts out a wish for it to go back inside, and just like that, it does. That's when Yaga realizes it's a magic lamp. It grants wishes. Too bad they just wasted their one big chance. When Yaga tries to make another wish, a crew member shows up and snatches the lamp back. Sometime later, Maloka overhears that the ship is about to dock. They arrive in an eastern desert land, hot, harsh, and ruled by strict laws where even thieves can lose their hands. Once they're off the ship, their heads are covered, including Venice, even though he can't see anyway. Soon enough, they're chained up, put on display, and sold like merchandise, slaves. A buyer is showing interest in Yaga, but then mocks her for being old. She fights back, and just as things are about to get ugly, a man steps in and stops it. Under his master's orders, he buys all 3 of them, Yaga, Venice, and Maloka. They're taken into a city where people are cheering loudly. For a second, Venice thinks the applause is for him. Nope, it's for a merchant named Anarif, a man known for helping others and deeply respected by the people. Then there's Jamal, a camel who talks. Turns out his soul got swapped with a human's because of a curse from a dark sorcerer. And yeah, that human body, it belongs to the same guy who caught Yaga's attention earlier. Eventually, they arrive at Anarif's residence, a massive palace that Yaga swears feels like it was built with magic. Jamal quickly reminds her, magic is forbidden here. Anarif appears and starts showing off his inventions, including a turtle-shaped machine that serves drinks. He explains that everything he creates is meant to end slavery. They're invited to rest, clean up, and later share a meal. They sit on the floor, something that feels strange to them, and what they thought was the main course turns out to be just an appetizer. The real meal is served by that turtle machine. Anarif then reveals he's lived for nearly 1,000 years and wants to modernize what he calls a barbaric land using science, not magic. He even shares his theory about longevity involving some rare jellyfish. Then he remembers Venice. Seeing his condition, Anarif prepares one of his inventions to help him. It's called the Eye of the Eagle. That device works like magic, restoring Venice's sight, and not just back to normal, but sharper than ever. He's overwhelmed, almost dropping to his knees to worship Anarif. But Anarif quickly shuts that down, making it clear worship is something only sorcerers deal with. He goes on to explain why. When sorcerers stop being worshipped, they don't just fade away, they create chaos. They unleash supernatural creatures, stir up trouble, then play politics by fixing the very disasters they caused, all for a price. The magic lamp, yeah, that's one of their tricks. Now the lamp is in Anarif's hands. Calm and collected, he places it into a machine and forces the genie out. The device drains its energy completely until there's nothing left. To Anarif, this is just step one in taking down the sorcerers. He knows his inventions aren't perfect yet, they're still evolving, but he truly believes science will one day bring real prosperity to people. That night, they rest in his massive palace. Jamal tries to charm Yaga to stay a little longer, saying Anarif is working on a way to switch his soul back into a human body. Meanwhile, Venice takes a quiet moment, staring up at the stars, something he hasn't seen in a long time. Maloka, on the other hand, tries watermelon for the first time and loves it so much she asks Yaga to bring back seeds so they can grow it back home. Not long after, Anarif shows up with good news. Their ship is ready. They can head home in the morning. Venice thanks him and even invites him to visit Belagori someday. But then, out of nowhere, a mechanical bird crashes into one of the palace lamps. Anarif explains it's still in testing, meant to deliver messages. And the message it brought? Not good. A savage creature that appeared a year ago has returned, terrorizing the desert again. People are asking for help. They call it the five-legged beast, though some say it looks more like a giant snake. Hearing that, Venice immediately offers to help, his way of paying Anarif back. Anarif hesitates, but Venice doesn't budge. That night, while everyone's asleep, Yaga sneaks off to steal some of the youth potion. She even has this weird dream about getting sucked into one of Anarif's machines, but nope, just a dream. Still, she goes through with it. When she finds the potion, the bottle is already empty, and just as she's snooping around, Anarif walks in. She quickly plays it off, saying she's just studying chemistry. Next morning, Anarif introduces a flying vehicle called the Fortec, designed based on how leaves fall. It's a one-time use ride, but it'll get them to the monster fast. Venice is pumped, but Anarif makes one thing clear: the creature has to be captured alive.